What's going on, y'all? So today we're going to talk about, first of all, my favorite guitar I've ever built. This one right here. And second of all, we're going to talk about my favorite Bigsby / favorite vibrato ever on any guitar ever. And it is called the Bigsby B16. And that's what this is right here on this Dylan Custom Guitars Telecaster style guitar that we have right here. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I built this guitar for myself. This is like the perfect guitar for me. But because we build guitars to sell, I put them all on the website, and of course somebody bought it on Saturday. And I was talking to the gentleman on the phone and I said, you know, I've never actually done a video about why I like the B16 so much, because it is a specific setup for a specific guitar. This Bigsby is made for a Telecaster. And it's so fun because it has so much more range to it. Than other Bigsbys. And I really, really like that. The other thing I like about it is the tuning stability is better. It looks crazy, but it's actually really simple. So let's get into it just real quick. The B16 is one big sand cast piece of aluminum, and the Telecaster bridge pickup actually fits into it. And it actually sits kind of on top of the body, which is different than most other Telecasters. As a result of that, you have to have about a 6-degree neck angle right here in order for this to all work. That means that you either have to cut the body to have the neck angle correct, or you have to use a shim. Bigsby actually makes an aluminum shim for it so that it is all really solid and everything. We'll put in one of those gray boxes up here, one of those little gray eyes, to a video that we have about shims. A lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about shims. They're fine. They don't bother anything. There's no problem with using them as long as they're done correctly, and this is done correctly. Trust me, there's no issues with any sort of like sustain or anything because of the shim in this guitar. So that's all designed to go together. The other question that we have a lot of times asked is, what's the deal with this bridge? Because it's an aluminum, it's called a Sorkin bow tie. And you've probably seen them on like older like archtop jazz guitars and stuff, but never really on an electric guitar. And when I share pictures of this on the internet, a lot of people will say, I would rather have a roller bridge, or I would rather have some other sort of bridge because of friction and it's gonna wear and there's gonna be problems. Well, the interesting part about this bridge is it is actually designed for this. So that when you move the vibrato bar back and forth, the bridge actually rocks back and forth. The holes where the bridge actually slides down onto the posts are actually machined in such a way to where there's no friction in there, where it actually just kind of rocks back and forth. It moves back and forth. In fact, the Bigsby in general is made to work with a bridge that rocks back and forth. You've seen those bridges on like tellies and stuff like that. They kind of look like a Jazzmaster bridge. But the thing is that they actually are supposed to move back and forth. They're supposed to wobble back and forth. And that's so that you don't have any friction. If they're set up correctly, there's no friction at the saddles ever on a Bigsby. So a tune-o-matic, not the best idea. Something like this works a lot better because it moves back and forth. People might think that there's one negative to it, and that is that this is not fixed to the guitar. But there's really no issue with it. When you take the strings off, it might fall off, and you just put it back on. And then all you do, when you put your strings on, and I would say when you put your strings on, there's a couple little tips I would give you. One, take the ball end, this is with any Bigsby, take the ball end of a string and wrap it around a pin so that it shapes to this rod right here. You know what I mean? So that it has kind of a little hook on it. And then that way, when you hook it up underneath there on that pin, it'll kind of stay where you want it to stay. And you can actually like stuff a piece of foam or something underneath there and then run it down, turn it onto your string peg, and everything is fine. The other thing, a little tip I would give you if you're stringing up a Bigsby is do your E, A, your D, your G, skip your B, and go to your high E. And here's why. The high E is right against the edge. This is with most Bigsbys. So if you do all your strings and your high E is the very last one, it's really hard to get your fingers in there to hold everything, how you're supposed to hold it to get it to work right, you know, to put the string on. So skip the B string, do the high E first, and then that'll give you like a gap and some room to move to put those last couple strings on. It doesn't sound like it makes sense right now, but when you do it, you'll see what I'm saying. And so those are a couple little tips I would give you to make stringing a Bigsby a lot easier. Once the guitar is strung, because as with all vibratos, not just Bigsbys, it works with the string tension. Okay? It's moving the tension of the string. So that means that stretching the strings are very important. So make sure that you stretch the entire length of the string from one end to the other, and then tune the guitar to pitch. And you might have to tune it a couple of times because it'll pull the spring down, and you don't have to adjust anything with a Bigsby. That's the fun part. You just string it up and you tune it up, and you stretch your strings and then retune it again, and everything is fine. There's no claw to adjust. There's none of that kind of stuff. It's super simple. Then the very last thing, well, the two last things would be check your string height at your 12th fret and make sure it's correct. And then just adjust it with your thumb wheels on your two thumb wheels here. Pretty simple. And then just check your intonation on your high E. Like that, okay? Check your intonation on your high E and your low E, and just move this until it's correct. Super simple. No screws to strip, nothing to mess with. You just bump it back and forth until you get it where you want it, and it's great. And it stays there. You can gig it for a couple hours. If it moves a little bit just in between songs, hit your tuner, do that. Just check it real quick. You can move it a little bit. It doesn't necessarily move, but if you're really railing on this thing, I like to really, really use it. It's awesome. That's the story of the B16. Functionality-wise, it is a great vibrato. One of the things I really like about it is there's no idler roller. So again, there's no friction on this guitar. The only friction is right here at the nut, and we put a tusk nut on all of our guitars, so really super low friction nut. There's no friction, nothing, anywhere. And so we could do crazy stuff. Perfectly in tune. Awesome, huh? And the cool part is once you get to kind of know the guitar, you'll figure out like where the half step bends are. So let's see if I can do this right. See what I'm saying? And so once you kind of get to know the guitar and the tension of everything, it's awesome. One thing I will tell you, use 10s. 10s or a little bit heavier, so 10s or 11s seem to work. I don't like to put 9s on a Bigsby guitar. It just makes everything, the spring, I think it needs at least that much tension. Oh, the other question I get all the time on this particular one is your intonation correct? Because I thought these were made for a wound G, and you are right. When you buy one of these, they're made for a wound G, and so you either have to modify them or have one made specifically for a plain G. And so that's what I do when I build these custom guitars. Anyway, just to share this thing with you, it's really super fun. It's been a great guitar. I mean, I only built it just a couple of months ago, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna keep it, but somebody said they wanted it more than me. So this is a 10 to 13 compound radius, slim C fretboard. It is a it's all baked maple, swamp ash body. It weighs, I think 8 pounds with the Bigsby on it and everything, and the humbucker and all that. So, and there's a coil split in here. So, great sounding guitar, great playing guitar. I'm sorry to see it go, but I'm really stoked for the new owner to be able to have it. And like I said, before it left, I just wanted to share some things specifically about the B16. We have a playlist on our YouTube channel that you can check out that has all kinds of tips and tricks for keeping a B16 or a Bigsby in general in tune. So check that out. If you have any other questions about this or anything else, let me know. Maybe we'll make a video just for you. My name is Dylan. This is Dylan Talks Tone. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button, the little bell, and share this too, because a lot of people don't know what B16, how it works and why and all that sort of stuff, and how it was all engineered to work together. I think it's pretty cool. Sounds good, Will. Talk to you next time. Thank you.